Welcome to this special edition of a webinar for the DTU students to prepare themselves better for the interviews which are starting this week, as I understand. And we'll talk more about it later. Let me request Professor Rajesh Rohila to kindly say a few words welcoming the students and all the participants.
Uh, Good afternoon, everyone. It is a great honor for me to welcome the eminent panelists and experts who will be enlightening the student through their thoughts. So, I'm Honorable Vice Chancellor Professor Yogesh Singh, Shri Karnail Singh, Alumni Association ex-president, Shri Sanjay Devanji, ex-president DC Alumni Association, Shri Ramesh Shankar, ex-VP and head Asia Pacific Siemens, Shri Sanjay Modi ji, who is ex-CEO of Monster.com and currently running his own venture, glowscout.com, Shri Vikas Madan, Senior Director, Accenture, Shri Bharat Garg, Principal, BCG, Shri Satyam Taneja, McKinsey. I welcome you all to this live webinar, which in fact is meant to enlighten the students. DC DTU, currently DTU has a legacy where we are always proud of our alumni and the kind of brand name that has been created by our alumni, that is really, and it is because of that we are recognized worldwide. Uh, this program, which is mainly focused on converting the interview into the job offers, organized by the Training and Placement Department in association with the Alumni Association. About the, okay, I would like to tell something about the program, that is what you can expect during today's session. We, in fact, many students do get the intro calls, but when they, as they proceed through different stages of interviews, the eliminations are there. And everybody is concerned whether the intro call that he is getting will be actually converted into a job offer or not. So our focus is on providing insights to the students as to what skills will actually prepare them for the future, so that whatever intro calls they are getting, it will be actually converted into the job offers. When a person appears for the interview, there are so many issues that he need to prepare in advance. The preparation starts not just with the intro call, it has to start from the beginning. That is the day they enter the university, they must start focusing on improving their skills, because skills are in different, we can divide these skills into different categories. So the skills maybe prior to interview, then there are certain skills which you require while performing or while participating in the interview process. Then, so things like how to introduce yourself, then how to answer or include some keywords in your reply, so that you can control the direction in which actually interview will be moving, then how to dress up, how to behave during the interview. These are some of the aspects that I am talking, because I am leaving all these things to the experts. They will be throwing light on all these aspects. And uh, as far as this placement is concerned, when students do join the university, the reason for choosing a particular university is the kind of exposure they get, the kind of learning experience they have, and the kind of placements that are offered by the university. And that way, DTU is fortunate enough, it is among the top priority of the students. And DTU has been consistently ranking among top 10 in the country. And I would like to share something relevant, since the students are mainly focusing on their preparation for the interviews which are starting next week. I have good news to share that already 18 students have received the PPO which are above 30 lakhs. So the reason I'm sharing this information is that even before the start of the session, the offers have started pouring in. And the kind of response that we are receiving from our recruiters, so that is really encouraging, and students can expect much better placement season this time. When we talk about the priority of the companies for DTO, it is not without any reason. There is reason for that. D2 students have been performing very well in missions, and some of the recent policies that our administration, especially under the dynamic leadership of our present Vice Chancellor, these have changed the scenario. Learning experience has changed. There is more focus on the research, and our Vice Chancellor has the view that the DTU should figure among top 200 of the world in US World Ranking. And this is something which we think is possible under his leadership, because the way he is adopting the student-centric policies, BCD, this DTU is actually bound to make great progress in the times to come. So our citation index, that is our one example I would like to give, that is the effect of these policies, is that our citation has improved even beyond, we have scored even beyond some of the IITs during the recent ranking. This is something which is really surprising by many means, but the drastic changes that we can see, certainly our current management and the active support from alumni association, that will certainly make a difference. And we are really proud of our students, and we hope that you will have a wonderful session where you will get, in this session, you will get answer to most of your queries, because this is the time where you have anxiety, and and if you get the answer to, certainly you will be much better prepared for the coming session. So with that, I would like to thank all the distinguished panelists, our Honorable Vice Chancellor, Sheikh Karnail Singh ji, and all the distinguished panelists, and all the students who have decided to be part of this live webinar, so that after the webinar, they have some clarity in certain issues which probably, or doubts which they had in their mind. So I hope you will enjoy the session. I will encourage the students to ask more and more questions, so that you can get the best out of this webinar. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Professor Rohila. I think it's a moment of pride that when we hear about DTU doing very well, and very heartening to note that we are moving up the ladder in number of citations, kind of job offers, and PPO is always a dream for every student, because he doesn't have to go through the hurdles of interview. And although we are here today to clarify and solve that mistake and the myth about the interviews with the lovely panelists that we have. Let me now invite Mr. Karnal Singh, who is a DC alumnus of 1979 batch from the electrical electronics stream. He has served as the IPS officer in the UT cadre. He was the person behind the famous Bartla House, and he has penned down his experiences as a book. So it's a great motivation to go through that book and see what it takes to be an IPS officer, and what are those strategic and tactical decisions that one takes. So he's excelled in his career always. He was the best student, best sportsman in his college life. So over to Shri Colonel Singh, IPS retired and the past president of the Alumni Association. Over to you, Shri Colonel Singh.
Thank you, Sanjay. Honorable Professor Yogesh Singh, Vice Chancellor of the University, Professor Rajesh Rohila, my colleagues in the panel, dear participants, I'm really proud of the Delhi Technological University. And when we read how the university is improving its ranking every year, it gives us, all of us, a great pride. And it is all because of Professor Yogesh Singh and his team. And I would like to thank him and his team for his immense contribution to the university. Thank you, sir. We at the Alumni has a strong zeal to contribute to this development. And sometimes we do not find channels how to contribute to the university. That becomes some handicap. We all want to contribute for university and for national building. Now for the students, let me tell you, you learn by 4 methods. One method is you are sitting in the class, faculty is teaching you. The second method is you are doing self-studies. And third method is you discuss with your colleagues. Now these 3 methods are available to you in the university, in the colleges. But there's a very important learning which remains, and that is experiential knowledge, experiential learning. That you learn when you work in the field. We have all the panelists today who have worked in the field for a long period. So how to pass on that experiential knowledge to the students, that is very, very important. It could be acquired if you listen to them. Previously, people used to sit with the guru and were learning them. Today, we do not have that system, but still, through these webinars, the panelists would be able to contribute a lot to you. Let me talk about the word Sarthi, which we have used. It's a small core group, and basic purpose is to impart experiential knowledge to the college students. To begin with, we want to cover 3 areas. One area is how to prepare yourself after college life. Starting with how to appear in interview, whether it is for government job or private job, or how to do your own business. That's another area. The second area I'm concerned about is the innovation. See, Narayan Murthy last year said in one of the seminars that for last 60 years, India has not produced even one innovation which has become a household. Why is it so? We have the best engineering students, best engineering people who go abroad and do wonders. I feel it is a lack of connect between the society and the institutes, between the industry and the institutes, between the government and the institutes. We have to bridge that connect. Whether it is financial investigation, whether it is a huge data analysis, like we said, the big data analysis and use of artificial intelligence, whether it is cyber security, what are the needs of the industry? If the students are aware of those needs of the industry, they may come out with the new solutions. And that solutions will be so good that our universities will excel. Then third area is mentoring of these students. These are the 3 areas we want to cover under this Sarthi, and we are a small group at the moment. Let me introduce them. We have Sanjay Diwan, who is moderating this particular session. He's a past president of TTU DC Alumni Association, passed out in 1981. He is also past president of ISP Executive Education Club, and is a partner with Business Consultancy for Strategy and Transformation with Positive Momentum. He has also worked with Avaya, AT&T, Tatas, and Philips. A great person. Then we have Akhil Chaudhary. He's in 1984. He has his own industry. He's a CEO of Binary Semantics. He was also architect of a program we had started in the university, that was UDAN program about innovations, about entrepreneurship. And he's a silent worker. He doesn't come forward to show his face that he has done so much. Even during Corona, he has made a team of around 70 people who had helped so many people. Then we have Viptimal. He is 1987 mechanical. He is a deputy director, training and placement in Department of Training and Technical Education. And he is a former secretary of Alumni Association. We have again one of the most silent worker, Arun Agarwal, 96 mechanical. He's holding senior position in ICICI Bank. He is a thought leader and is totally devoted to the nation. We all are, of course. And then we have finally the most energetic person I have seen in my life, that is Arun Gupta. 2005 mechanical. He's a chief manager, Siemens Energy, and leading department of fluid and mechanical systems globally for different turbine product lines. He is lifeline of this group. We are not alone in this pursuit. Mr. Rajesh Rohilla has contributed immensely in a dialogue how to start with the webinars in the university. Vice Chancellor and his team is supporting us. I profusely thank the university. Then we have support of Alumni Association, which is now headed by Dr. Muktesh Chandra. He is a special commissioner in Delhi Police. But that is not enough. We are supported by the whole alumni community. When Mr. Sanjay Diwan and Arun Gupta spoke to all the panelists, they are very senior persons. And they did not hesitate to say, no, we are busy. They immediately came forward. I'm really thankful to the panelists that they are willing to support the university in any way, anytime. The great help. Now coming to the topic of today. I'm not expert in that, we are panelists, but let me tell you about what we look in the government sector. The most important thing is your resume. And resume reflects what you are. Many people write resume just to show off. But that becomes important when one of the interviewer may start asking about you in that area. Suppose you say your hobby is playing cricket, he start asking about cricket, and if you do not know anything, that will indicate you are not truthful. And that will not be good, and you are not supposed to know everything in interview. So what they are checking is whatever you know, whether you have balanced views or not, whether you have knowledge about your subject. And civil services, one more thing is checked, how aware you are about your surroundings. And these are the some tips. I hope the panelists will be able to contribute and quench the questions of the students. Before we proceed further, I'll request Sanjay Diwan to introduce the panelists. Jai Hind.
Thank you, Shri Colonel Singh. You have set the tone for today's discussion on talking of the topic. Let me just quickly introduce the 5 speakers that we have today for the benefit of the students and the executives or each of you present here in the panel as an esteemed panel of speakers. We have Mr. S. Ramesh Shankar, who was earlier the CHRO for Siemens, and he has worked with various organizations, Steel Authority, Eicher, Britannia, ABB, clearly a good blend of private sector and the private sector. And now he's founded something which is Joy Forever. And the Sanskrit word for that is Rishti, which is his organization. He calls himself the Chief Joy Officer. And I think very aptly, because joy is what should always be there. When you take up a career, when you take up your personal life, be it professional, personal, you have to have joy in whatever you are contributing. Then we have Mr. Sanjay Modi, who is an alumnus of DCE from 1990 batch. He was the managing director, CEO for Monster.com, looking after the regions of APAC and SAARC and Gulf. So very large responsibility he had. He has now created a B2B platform for the recruiters and, as he says, mobility of blue collar workers when they are looking for taking up senior jobs across the continent, that is US, New Zealand, Australia, Europe, etc. This company is called Glow Scout, so he is the founder of Glow Scout. Then we have Vikas Madan, who has graduated from YMC Institute, and now he is a senior director with Accenture, largely in the cybersecurity and Microsoft practice area. So we will benefit from him in terms of what he brings from his experience, what is required for a consulting or a technology company, from what the students can look to learn from him. He has earlier worked with CMC, Capgemini, Stereo. So the long innings that he has had, over 22 years of experience. Then we have Shri Bharat Garg, who is principal with the famous Boston Consulting Group. He started his career with Maruti in the R&D and then moved on to do an MBA. And after MBA, he took up a job in FMCG area. So another area we will have contribution from him at Procter and Gamble, and thereafter he has been with BCG. So we look to hear from him about what it takes to take up jobs like these. And lastly, we have budding professional Satyam Taneja, who's from the 2015 batch. So we have a great width of experience in this panel, from 5 years to 40 years, to give you different flavors. And all of them have been to campuses, different DTU or otherwise, and will be able to share their own experiences and possibly guide you and mentor. And some of them have also offered to mentor you post this webinar. So we will work with Professor Rohila to establish that. Satyam is with McKinsey. He is associate there and is a keen public, he's a keen investor on the public forum. So you can also ask. I talking of this, I'm reminded of the mutual fund ad where they ask everybody, what are you going to do with your money, first salary? So Satyam can also give you tips what you should rightly do with your first salary and how you should invest to create more wealth. So thank you, and let me now not take much time and invite our Vice Chancellor, Shri Professor Yogesh Singh Ji, who has been an academician par excellence. He was the Vice Chancellor for the MSU University in Baroda before he took up his fifth anniversary is coming up on 14th of, or sorry, just over 14th of July 2016. He became the Vice Chancellor for us at DTU. So great innings of 5 years over, five more to go, I guess, or many more to come, where we can keep seeing DTU climbing up the ladder in terms of ratings. So over to you, Professor Yogesh Singh, to share your few words of advice and wisdom to the students and the panelists.
Good afternoon to all of you. Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good afternoon again. Shri Karnail Singh Ji, former President of Alumni Association of our university and an accomplished IPS officer of India. Sanjay Diwanji, who is also the former president of the association, Alumni Association 1981 batch. Then we have our dear Arun Gupta, who is very active and a catalyst for our Alumni Association activities. Then we have distinguished panelists, starting from Ramesh Karji, who is the Chief Joy Officer. I was very happy to know that in the now things are improving in the industry also, they say Chief Joy Officer. Very nice. Then Sanjay Modi, who is our alum and CEO and founder of Closet.com. Mr. Bharat Garg, dear Satyam Taneja, head of the training and placement department, Professor Shila, energetic. DTU is getting bright minds of our country. We are very lucky to have such bright minds on our campus. And we are thankful to all of you for joining us, for joining DTU. When it comes to training and placement, we are doing very well, no doubt about it. And our training and placement division, under the dynamic leadership of Professor Rajesh and the associate head, Anil Singh Parihar, they are doing very well. And now they are organizing a webinar on converting interviews into job offers. But first of all, I would like to share some of the statistics, although Professor Rajesh has explained some of them. Now, DTU is one of the best institutions of our country as per NRF ranking when it comes to placement. So our core competence is placement, and last year we were best in the country. Last year we were second or third best in the country because IIT Roorkee came first. But this number is not that important. But what is important here is our division is doing very well, and our students are doing very well in different companies. So they have earned reputation for Delhi Technological University. Thanks of them. Some of the statistics this year, due to pandemic, many things have suffered. But in Delhi Technological University, our placement record is best in the history of Delhi Technological University. Like since 1941 and now we are in 2021, 80 years. And the best record this year, more than 310 companies visited as on date, 1,547 offers, and 1,348 students placed in different companies. 465, which is not a small number, 465 students got job offers from 10 to 20 CTC per year, lakhs per year. So, and then 194 got offers more than 20 lakhs per year. Average CTC is 12.58 lakhs, thanks to training and placement division and bright students of DTU. Highest domestic package is 51 lakhs and international package is 1.09 lakhs, 9 crores. Now coming to the topic, yes, our students are doing very well. Placement division is taking care of them. And this is one of the steps in that direction where we say the converting and to understand the performance in the interview so that your performance is converted into a job offer. We all know that whenever someone is coming for as a interviewer, then they want to see technical skills, no doubt about it. They also want to see soft skills. Yes, they want to see. But the another important aspect is the attitude. This is also equally important. You may be very good in programming, but if you are very critical, if you are very, very negative, and if your body is giving the negative vibes, then that is treated as very, very negative. My dear students, but when we say the attitude, loyalty is very important. Dependability is important, and trustworthiness. If we have these attributes in ourselves, then it's very good. If you don't have, we have to work on this. And everyone is looking for a team player. Everyone is looking for a team player. Individual performance, yes, it is important, but not at all that important. And that's why, if you are a team player, then you can implement ideas. Everyone has so many ideas, but the best ideas are those ideas which can be translated into action. And in my room, there is a saying of someone which is written, I admire those who deliver. I admire those who deliver. In India, there are so many philosophers, so many thinkers, so many persons who are giving ideas. But when it comes to ground, they are not able to implement. So that's why implementation is more important than having an idea and execution of the idea. So, my dear student, don't be critical and negative in life. Because please remember, जिसके पास जो होता है वो देता है. If you are full of negativity, you will spread negativity. If you are inside, you are very positive, you will spread positivity. If you are happy, you will spread happiness. If you are critical, you will spread accordingly. So, जिसके पास जो होता है वो देता है. That's why, special attention, special effort is required to achieve such skills when we are appearing for an interview. And always remember when I said the team player, team is not a group of people. Team is not a group of people who work together. No, team is not a group of people who work together, but it's a group of people who trust, support, and help each other. Trust, support, and help each other. Everyone wants to create such a team where they respect each other, support each other. And if someone is appearing in an interview and he's criticizing the university, criticizing the teachers, criticizing the fellow friends, obviously that will not be considered as a that will not be considered as a positive thing, or rather it will be considered as very, very negative. And try to accept the differing views with the aim to produce results. There may be difference of opinion, it happens, everywhere it happens, but try to accept that. And another important aspect is the leadership. Although simplest definition, which I feel a leader should have average intelligence and lots of common sense. Because every day is different, every problem is different, every situation is different. So you should have lots of common sense and average intelligence. बहुत होशियार लोग fail हो जाते हैं. So that's why leadership is not about you. Leadership is about investing in growth of others for the larger goods. That is for the welfare of others and welfare of the society. Investing in the growth of others. And please not be overbearing and behave like but you should behave like a confident, pleasant, and positive person. Always take positive side of everything. Because winners achieve despite problems, not in their absence. And in India, we have so many problems and challenges, but there are so many good things which are happening here. That's why this attitude is very important, my dear students. Someone has rightly said, कि भला बुराना कोई रूप से कहलाता है, भला बुराना कोई रूप से कहलाता है कि दृष्टि भेद ही गुण दोष दिखलाता है. दृष्टि भेद हो गया कि आप कैसे उसको देखते हैं, कि भला बुराना कोई रूप से कहलाता है कि दृष्टि भेद ही गुण दोष दिखलाता है. कोई कमल की कली देखता है कीचड़ में, किसी को चांद में भी दाग नजर आता है. So that's why, in universities also we have to work on that. Try to see positive side of a situation, positive side of a thing, because winners achieves despite problems, not in their absence. So my good wishes to all dear students, try to inculcate such value system, which is very, very important. Technically, most of you are very sound, and you may have good expression also, soft skills also, but we also need right kind of attitude. With these words, I would like to congratulate again the Department of Training and Placement, and thanks to the panelists who have come here and could spare time for our dear students from Delhi Technological University. I would like to thank all of you for the same. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor Yogesh. Brilliant views you always have for an advice for the students. Absolutely, you're on spot in saying positivity and attitude matter a lot. And it's about your professional career, and you start to move from college to the campus, from the campus to the corporate life. So great advice from you, sir. Let me just quickly start off with the discussions and invite our panelists. Thank you so much, sir. And thank you. It's always a pleasure to get your guidance and listen to you with some of those guidances and golden nuggets, I should say. So thank you. And so the topic today is about converting interviews into job offers. And I know dear students are anxious to listen and hear out from the corporate world what is it takes to convert the interview for your dream company into a job offer. Will it happen now? Will it happen later? There's so many questions that come up, and nobody else than these apt panelist speakers will be able to share their viewpoints, wisdom, guidance, mentoring, guidance in terms of how to manage, how to work for the interviews, how to be more ready. So let me start with our Mr. Ramesh Shankar, who is. So what we will do is for my co-panelist here, that we will. I'll give you three. You can speak for first 3-4 minutes about the topic, converting interviews into job offers, and we'll go one by one. I've already introduced Mr. Ramesh Shankar as the Chief Joy Officer, Hirishti. So let's have Mr. Ramesh Shankar's views. Over to you, sir.
Okay, thank you, Sanjay, and I hope I can share this screen. Is it permitted? Is my screen visible?
Yes, sir, it's visible. Your screen is visible.
Okay. Thanks a lot. I think it's a great honor and a privilege to be part of this webinar because I'm not an engineer and I'm not a student of the Delhi Technological University. However, I have been a customer and I have visited the university multiple times from various organizations, and I have recruited some of the best talent from this university. So my great respect and regard for the university and all the students and the faculty and the alumni, because you produce great talent for the country and for the world. While I was asked by my friend and colleague Arun Gupta to join this panel, I was also asked by Sanjay to say as to how I prepare for this. So, I mean, though I've spent a lot of time in industry, but every time something is asked for me, I get a little nervous. So I do a little bit of preparation. So I did a little bit of preparation, and I will share this with you all. I mean, there's nothing secret about what I'm saying. It is, as Professor Yogesh Singh very nicely put it, leadership is 99% perspiration and 1% inspiration. That's what Einstein said. So Professor Yogesh Singh said it is common sense, and I think it's true. I agree, and it is common sense. So typically, if I were to start, I would say in industry, when we recruit people, we basically look for two things. And I want to keep it simple so that you are able to carry it back with you. We look at skill and we look at will. And skill, the university has already provided you. You all are electrical engineers or mechanical engineers, or automobile engineers, or whatever you are. And you have learned enough of the skill. What we look for is basically the will. Because our belief in industry is that if you have the will, skill can be developed. But as he said, if you have the right attitude, a positive attitude, anything can be developed. Whether it is artificial intelligence, whether it's machine learning, or anything of the future can be developed. But if you do not have the will, then it is difficult to develop the skill. So let me start. I started with an acronym, and I called this this thing of an interview. I said it is about it is about, I call interview as insightfully navigating tough emotions, realistically, value-based, innocently, energetically, and wit. So basically, you will have to look at how do you gain insights from whatever you have learned in the organization, in the university. Then you navigate the interview. You have to be like the driver of the interview. You have to sit in the driver's seat and steer the interview to where you want to take the interviewers to. It will be a tough situation. You will have to handle it with resilience, with a lot of patience, a lot of magnanimity, a lot of humility. You have to have your emotions under control. Neither you need to go right side or not to the left side. You'll have to be realistic, very grounded in speaking of what you have done. Your values will speak for itself. The way you speak, the way you present yourself will automatically show what you're saying. Like I have a beautiful quote on this which says, I know you believe you understand what you think I said, but I don't know whether you realize that what you heard is not what I meant. And that is what happens in an interview. Many times there's a gap between what you say and what you meant. You have to be innocent and honest. You have to be energetic right through the interview. And you have to have a sense of humor so that you are able to carry through in any tough situation. Some of the tips for the students are, be honest and authentic always. You have to tell the truth. If you have done it, great. If you have not done it, be honest to say, I have not done it. But don't try to bluff, because you will have to believe that the panelists in the interview know much more than you in every respect. So you'll have to respect them. You'll have to always trust that they know more than you. Share what you have done yourself. Typically, an interview today is what they call as behavioral interviews, where you will have to show what you have done with your own hands. If you have done an internship project and you have actually done a project and successfully executed it, talk about the project. Talk about a webinar you have conducted in the university. Talk about a cultural event you have organized in the university, if you have done it. But if somebody else has done it, don't try to fake it, because then you will be caught easily by the interviewers. Always believe that the interviewer knows more than you. Converse in a way that you're liked naturally. I mean, you meet people right down the street every day, and there are some people whom you enjoy talking to, and there are some people who actually put you off even in the first conversation. So try to make your conversations very congenial, very likable, and be your natural self. Honestly say no if you don't know an answer, don't bluff. Start and end with a smile. I mean, your smile should be right through the interview so that people recognize you with your smile. The key skills which I would recommend, one is active listening. When you have to be a great listener. All of us would love to talk to people who are great listeners. And generally, we speak more and listen less. Though God has given us 2 ears and 1 mouth, but we tend to speak double of what we listen. So be a good listener. Answer only what is asked. Many times, respondents tend to answer things other than what is asked. Don't try to think. So there's a nice quote again here which says, brevity should not destroy clarity. Elaboration should not lead to confusion. You should be brief enough so that it is, but not so brief that clarity is disturbed. And you should not keep elaborating so that it creates a confusion. So it has to be a balanced response. Keep an eye contact with the interviewer. The confidence, self-confidence speaks when you're able to speak eye to eye with the person. So keep your eye contact with all the interview panelists. Keep a smiling face, as I said, and that speaks of your attitude. On the dress, again, dress appropriately. It is not necessary to wear a coat and tie always. Check what is the culture of the organization. And today you have the internet and you have social media, you have Glassdoor, you have a lot of opportunities to know about the organization. You can meet a lot of friends working in that organization to find out about that organization. What is the culture of the organization? What dress is appropriate for the organization? Some organizations encourage jeans and t-shirt. So it is fine to wear a jeans and t-shirt for an interview. On the other hand, there are some organizations which prefer a coat and a tie. So you should be one step above what the organization culture is. You should be clean shaven, or you can have a beard or a mustache, but you should be well groomed. Have a bath and be hygienic and well groomed for the interview. Don't just get up from the bed and walk into the interview, otherwise it will be very visible. Tie or coat is not necessary if they don't have a formal dress code, but dress appropriately. Even in a virtual interview, which is the order of the day today in the pandemic, it is important to be well groomed so that you make your first impressions correctly. And lastly, let me close this session with my closure, which says that when you are going to end the interview, just like you start the interview with a bang, you end the interview with magnanimity. So you be courteous, you get up and thank everyone. You thank everyone for the panelists for the learning opportunity they've given you, because an interview is also a learning process. You gain a lot of insights, you get a lot of knowledge which you did not have. You get some comments from the participants, from the interviewers, which also is a great insight for you. Share your own insights if you have any. If you have any questions, ask questions for clarification. Don't ask questions to challenge the interviewer. It is possible that you know a subject more than the interviewer. But believe me, you have to go with the assumption that the interviewers know more than you. And that is the best way to face an interview. Check on next steps, if any. What are the next steps? You can ask them very politely. And state that you are looking forward to this interview. Show your enthusiasm to that you are very keen to take this offer and join this organization. But do extensive research about the organization so that you know enough about the organization. You can speak for even 1 hour non-stop about the organization, the culture, the products, the services, and what they are doing well, and if they have had any setbacks, why that setback, and things like that. So that you're not taken off guard and you are fully prepared. So that's the way I would close the interview. So thanks, Sanjay, and that's what I wanted to share.
You can stop sharing the screen so that
Yeah,
all
yeah,
the panelists. Thank you. Thank you, Ramesh, and I think a very excellent points in terms of very focused discussion around to start with a smile and end with a smile, and keep an eye contact with through the interview with a smile on, not a frown on your face when you are having an eye contact. Body language makes a lot of difference. When if you're frowning and you're still maintaining eye contact, it could be a different story. So we have let's go to Vikas Madan and hear from him. He comes from a technology background and been to so many campuses. So what would you like to say? What are the tips to convert the first interview into the first job offer. Let's hear from you, Vikas.
So, Sanjay, I hope I'm audible.
Yes,
Okay, first of all, I hope all of you are keeping safe with your family and beloved ones during these pandemic times. And I would also like to congratulate the staff of DTU. I heard some of the exemplary achievements that you mentioned in terms of being first and also the pay packages. That's quite exciting. And also, I would like to congratulate Yogesh ji, Professor Yogesh. I'm not sure probably he has stopped, but what we typically call it as a gratuity anniversary, 5 years. So that's a milestone to achieve, at least in our realm. And also congratulations and thanks to the DTU alumni. I have been part of, and people keep inviting me in many panel discussions. It's not common to see a diverse group of panelists. So I see people from manufacturing, IT, government, and also the founders. It's a lot of things for me also to learn. Quite a diverse panel. So thanks all for attending. Coming to this topic, I have done campus hiring in a lot of colleges, a lot of institutes in past so many years, be it the NICs, Kurshetas, Harpers, MITs, IIM campus, Lucknow, and a lot many more. What I believe is that this topic of campus hiring is kind of overhyped. It is, it creates unnecessary pressure on the students. And it's like the board examination. Keep telling your students, your kids, hey, board examination, 10th and 12th, but they are the easiest one. Even the marking is very lenient during the board examinations. My wife is a teacher, so I know how the marking happens there. And that's the unnecessarily undue pressure that is on the kids. So what I would suggest that when we come for a campus hiring interview, we do not have those high expectations from you. So if it brings any relief, and that's a fact. So we don't have those high expectations. So don't burn yourself. It's a very easy ride. And today we will probably get chance to bust some of these myths which are around the campus hiring. Let me also give you a perspective. It's a food for thought. So I come from Accenture. We hired 30,000 people last year. We are hiring 40,000 people this year. In my domain, I take care of security. And in my domain, I have a target to hire 1,000 people, out of which 700 will get hired in India and 300 outside India. That is the scale. Now, do you think we have that much of supply of technical people in the industry? No. We have our own L&D department. We have our own talent department. Why do you think we spend millions of dollars on maintaining those departments? Because whatever you come prepared with, that's all dated from the textbook. What you will learn on ground, we will teach you that. You are not expected that you join and tomorrow we'll put in front of the client saying, hey, start delivering on this particular thing. You will have at least 3 to 6 months before you are trained, before you get your certifications, and then you will be shadowing some senior person so that you learn during that journey. And it will be like 3, 4, 5, 6 months before you are actually given your first assignment independently. So that's how the journey is. And when it comes to the campus hiring, I believe that there are two basic fundamentals. One is we try to test your aptitude. That's very important. We try to test, the basic knowledge of the subject. And that is why we have written test. Every company will have a written test. Then we want to see that how do you behave in a team? How do you interact with others? How do you respond to diversity in the group? For that, we have group discussions. And after clearing that, you typically come for an interview where I would check how positive attitude you carry, how much confidence you have, and how are your communication skills. So those are the things which I will typically check. Now, having said that, if you have that, chances are bright you will get shortlisted. When we hire in bulk. I mean, like 100 plus, 70 plus. But then there are some things which give you an edge over your peers. The other day, when I was in one of these discussions, the girl walked into my room and I realized that she had a patent in her name already, and she was in final year. Bingo, select her. There was another lady who had written an article with his professor which got published in the NASA magazine. Bingo, select her. These people have an edge. There are people who walk into the room and they carry certifications, which we get our employees to do that. Very good, select that. Then there are people who have done some additional courses just to stay relevant in the industry. Now, whatever you have learned, sometimes there are people who have developed a little bit of prototype as an application of that learning. Very good. These are the bonus item, as I call, because this reflects your learnability. that how quick you are in learning and how quick you are in adapting those learnability into the day-to-day applications. So those are the things that we check. So one is the basic thing that you have. If you have, chances are bright you will get shortlisted. If you really want to have an edge over your peers, then you should have one of these bonus items also on top of that, which you can reflect. So those are some of the things which typically we see whenever we go for a campus hiring or an interview. Because technology, I mean, cloud security, cyber, DevSecOps, AI, ML, blockchain, there are a lot many things. And by the time you are in the first year of BTech and by the time you graduate, things have changed in the industry and it's really difficult to catch up. So we will do all that investment, what we need. But what we need is a basic skills from you. And let me tell you, lot many times it ends up to soft skills. So I will pause here and we go to the other panel.
We are losing you, Vikas. Your audio is not coming through. Okay, let's move forward. I think Vikas has some technology issues. I think all of us face this network quality, but never mind. I think we will come back to him. Let's hear from Sanjay Modi that hearing Ramesh and Vikas giving different perspectives. Vikas from technology, Ramesh being a CHRO as to how an overall interview readiness and what you should do right in the interviews. Sanjay, what do you think is some of those golden nuggets of guidance for the students when they are getting ready for the interview? Is there a pre-work required, or is it that they just walk in and take it as it comes and be bindas? So there are different ways one can handle the interview after being dressed appropriately, after putting on the smile right from beginning to end. So let's hear from you on how should one manage to crack the interview, as the lingo says in the campus.
Thanks, Sanjay, for the opportunity. And I would like to thank DTU for inviting me over. I think the alumni is doing an excellent work. Now, if I take a step back, I think there are great inputs and insights given by people who spoke before me. You know, Dr. Singh, Professor Yogesh, Ramesh, I think gave lovely insights, and Vikas, as a hiring manager, he was giving it. Now, what I would like to add on here is a different perspective, you know, not that what all have, you know, already said, and I would be repeating that. And that's a tough part. So let me just start by saying why we are having this particular webinar. The reason being, there has been a seismic shift from capital investment to intellectual capital in the last 2.5 decades. Right? Earlier, there used to be capital industries. There were people available and you would get them. With opening of the economy, with the gig economy coming in, certainly there is a requirement of people with different kinds of talent, skills, requirements, which is changing so rapidly that the most current guy sitting today on a technology side would not know what would happen a month down the line or a year down the line. So if as a final year student, I am appearing for an interview, the first thing that I should tell myself is that I am not know it all kind of a person, right? And there can never be a situation like that. That is one. And that is what Vikas said. So don't unnecessarily pressurize yourself. Second, an interviewing process is a two-way process. Why we are only talking about a student who has to sit and give an interview, the equal challenge is from the interviewer side as well, because they have to spot the right talent for the organization. So that means in this particular time and interaction, if I take it as a two-way process, it's a great time to know more about the organization, ask the right questions, which possibly will impress the interviewer a lot. And that comes down to, as Sanjay just asked me, Do you need to do some pre-work? 100% yes. Any company that you are applying for, and today in this internet world, the data and the information is readily available. Check about the organization, check about their values, missions, check about their expansion plan, go through the testimonials of the existing employees. Are they happy working there? What are the kind of things they are saying? What is the kind of growth path people have, achieved while working for that organization? What the CEO is saying on the learning development side, on the knowledge side, on the investments they are planning to. There are a lot of people today in order to attract the best talent, because I always believe that everyone today, rather than being the best in the product, wants to be the best employer of choice. Because somewhere in today's time, yes, the steering wheel has gone back to the employers, but time will come when the job seeker again would be on the driving seat, right? So check out what are their HR policy, what are their welfare policies, how they are doing it. Once you have done that, the second thing you should do is, what is the job role and the job profile? What is the basic thing that they are hiring you for? And then take that particular information and map it up with your skills and your strength and your education, whether it deals with the project that you have done, whether it deals with the internship you have done, whether, as Vikas was saying, it is to do with the white paper you have written, anything. But there has to be a close relation to your on-hand experience, limited one, because you have still not ventured out into the employer, onto the job side, but whatever limited scope you have you got any facet wherein you have given some practical orientation to the knowledge that you have imbibed in a classroom or in a lab? I think that is important. And that is where, with this homework, you will be creating out a niche which will differentiate you from the others, right? After doing that, and then the third thing you should do is find out what are your core strengths, and can you demonstrate or exhibit in some form during the interview. If you cannot, forget about it, because the moment you travel that path, most of the guys who are taking the interview will start drilling down. So that is important. The fourth thing is, while you are in an interview and you are asked a question or you are giving a feedback, don't interject. Listen. Allow the other person to complete the statement fully. It may be contrary to your thoughts. It may be contrary or a misunderstanding you think they would have developed with a certain statement you have given. But never, never stop anybody in between. Allow them to say whatever they have to say, and then with very politeness and humbleness, kind of give another clarification. That is important. And one thing which is so critical today, which I think everybody in the panel has already pointed out, today the businesses are running on co-creation and ideation. Now, co-creation puts a lot of onus on individuals to work in teams, to work and handle diversity, to do not have opinionated kind of a mindset, but a very flexible kind of a mindset. These are the kind of things which today the interviewer will try and hash it for themselves. And I will give you a employer perspective here. Please understand, when the campus interviews are conducted, it's a cost as well as drain on time and effort on the organization side. One. Second, when you will be recruited, each company is looking at certain kind of longevity, because they invest in you, they train you, and imagine that in 6 months you leave, or they find that you are a misfit. Imagine the kind of situation it will have on the organization from the competitive landscape, because businesses are for profit. You lose an individual, your competitive edge in the market goes down that much. So that is how important the selection process is for an organization. So they will be doing the best to look at the nuances which fit into their culture, in their ideology, in their thinking, and somewhere picking on you to check whether you are looking at a kind of a kickstart to your career through them and you will move to greener pastures. Hence, what you are looking for in a career, in an organization, in your career pathing today, 5 years, 3 years down the line, be clear about that. If you have plans to become a CEO within 10 years, don't hesitate if you have a plan, and then articulate how you want to achieve this. So please be very open, very humble, very polite. Put down your strengths, which can be married with the organizational objectives, because as Dr. Singh said, if you know cricket, but is cricket that much important? But there's something else you have, you should tell those things to an organization where they feel, yes, this quality can be gelled. So it's a round hole and a round peg kind of a scenario. Imagine you are a round peg. So try and find the right hole for yourself so that the selection process goes in your favor. Thank you.
Thank you, Sanjay. I think very well said that how do you really keep the interview conversation flowing through and not take on head on or not take on don't take it on a tangent, just stay focused and share what you have done positively. It'll come back to you. I think great insights from your experience as a recruiting company monster or facilitating recruitment processes, and good to do some research and go to walk in before you may have a mindset about a brand or a company, but as a student you can talk to your seniors who are working in an organization. You can talk to your peers or some friends who maybe in another institute know more about that or may have done an internship with that organization. So it's good to walk in with some more knowledge about the organization, some more knowledge about the job profile, and what will it take you to next 3 years to 5 years. Thank you, Sanjay. Let me go switch to Bharat and quickly ask him to share about. So you are from. Sorry, there is a. You're from Boston Consulting. Somewhere there's a echo coming. Am I where? Anyway, so so you Boston Consulting, you're on a technology role, you could be on a consulting role, you could have been in a technology company. So when you walk in for an interview with a consulting company like BCG or the likes of it, what is it one should be ready for to that the interviewer will ask me what kind of preparation I should do when I as a student I'm walking in for the interview at the campus.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Sanjay. At the onset, I would like to thank DTU for giving me this opportunity. It's an absolute honor to be talking to such bright set of minds, bright and emerging, and also be among such an eminent set of panelists. I really, really consider myself fortunate. Coming on to the question, and before I answer the question specifically, I would like to say two things. One is each interview consists of two major steps, right? The first step is preparation, and the second step is presentation. So I think previously also Mr. Modi said that preparation is a very, very important part. I think there is no doubt in that, right? And we often as students, when we are in college, we tend to overlook this aspect of the interview. Let me tell you, guys, that the 4 years of study is one part of it, right? But what you prepare for the interview is actually going to make or break what you present during the interview. So please don't take it for granted. I know you will go through a series of interviews depending on what are your target set of companies, but please do not overlook this aspect of the interview, which is preparation. Now, preparation, again, there are two important elements, as Mr. Kanal Singh also said. The single most important element is your resume. right? That is what gives a sneak peek of yourself to the interviewer. So before you even get a chance to talk about yourself and to present yourself, you will be represented by your resume, right? So make sure you spend enough time in building your resume, preparing your resume. Some tactical tips, not more than one page at your stage of career. Very sharp. Talk about your strengths as much as you can and bring out the impact that you would have created as part of your projects or the work that you have done, right? But resume is a very, very important thing. One mistake which we often also do is treat resume as a static document, once prepared, done and dusted. No, if you can try and modify your resume to the needs of the company, nothing like it, right? So a consulting firm like a BCG will look for something different, an FMCG or a technical firm might look for something different, and each one of us has sufficient background to talk about, which is very specific to what the company needs. So see if you can modify or tune your resume to the requirements of the company. The other aspect of preparation is knowing about the company as much as you can. So here I would like to also pitch in, as Mr. Diwan was asking, what do firms like BCG or consulting firms look for in the candidate? I think there are three important firms, and guys, please do this research. What do firms look for in the candidate? The interview process, the values that they look for in the candidates do not change every year. It is pretty much the same. I can talk about three firms which I have been part of historically. Maruti, which is or which used to be a preferred recruiter in my times. Then PNG, Procter and Gamble, and now BCG. The requirements from the candidates have not changed in the past 15 to 20 years. They are very much part of what constitutes the culture of the organization. So talking about BCG specifically, we look for three things, right? Number one thing is your effectiveness and impact, which comes through your resume. What is the impact of the work that you have done so far? We It plays a very, very important role. On an average, if 10 students apply, not more than 3 to 4 will get shortlisted. So make sure you have that captured in your resume. The second thing is communication, which links to the second part of the interview, which I said about presentation. Make sure during the interview, even Mr. Ramesh said, will. It's a very, very important aspect. Do not take it for granted. Your your speech should show the passion to join this organization. For example, if you are pitching or you are interviewing a company or BCG, the moment you say good morning to the moment you say thank you, each and every word counts. And if there is passion in your language, I will ignore a couple of mistakes that you would have made during your interview. So passion, which shows your willingness to join this organization, is very, very important. Even see, what you know about the question that the interviewer is asking is sometimes not in your control, but how you respond, even if you don't know an answer, can actually help with your cause. So communications is the second element, and the third element is problem solving, right? So by problem solving, I mean that given a situation, how would you like to tackle this situation? So consulting interviews are typically uh, I would say problem-based interviews where you are given a problem statement and they will ask, how will you maneuver through this problem, right? So for example, if a company is going through year-on-year losses, how will you pitch in, step in and turn around the losses of this company? What are typically the areas you will look at, etc., etc. Now, as I said in the preparation stage, if you are aware of the kind of questions BCG asks, you will be very well equipped to answer these questions. And it doesn't matter if it looks rehearsed or something, as long as you're giving the right answer with proper integrity, I think you will. On the other hand, if I talk about Procter and Gamble, they ask situation-based questions, right? Give me a situation where you demonstrated leadership and you turned around the outcome of the work that was being done. Or give me a situation where you acted a good team player and your contribution was valued by the team. Give me a situation where you faced a failure. It need not be always about success. You will face failures. How well you are able to articulate your failures is another question, right? So it is very important. that we prepare for the interview. Each company has a certain nuance that they look for, and it's very important for us. Say tech firms, Google, Microsoft will have certain things that we will look for in the candidate. Please make sure that you prepare well and good before the interview. Uh, that will make you much more, the probability of you getting in increases many fold. And believe me, not everyone does that, right? So I can see 250 odd participants on this call. Not everyone will prepare equally for the all the companies. So make sure whichever companies you are interested in, you do sufficient research and prepare for it accordingly.
Thank you, Bharat. Wonderful to know what consulting companies are looking for effectiveness and impact. And clearly, I think more and more organizations today are looking for good performers and quick learners with great initiative to onboard them. And talking of the passion and problem solving, clearly, yes, jobs are limited. Everybody needs a passionate employee who can deliver to the promise that he brings in. So thank you so much, Bharat. Let's hear from Satyam. Satyam, who's one of the most recent and the youngest amongst the panelists. So he has I should say, on the timeline, a closest connect to his college life. So Satyam, when you were at college, what it took you to reach to McKinsey, or what was it? There are multiple companies who come, so and the number of companies are growing. How does a student I plan? What is the best fit for me or most probable company that I can look to, and how do I reach that goal
Yes,
of getting the job from my dream company?
yes. Thank you, sir. First of all, I would like to just thank Sanjay sir. Thanks for having me here, and all the entire DTO team for having me here, because it's very good to be back. The last time I did such a big discussion was actually in campus. I was part of DC Placement Pandas, so I used to take these kind of sessions back then as well. So it's really good to be here, and I completely reflected on my journey on campus and would love to bring that viewpoint to this discussion because you've already heard enough on the other side of the table. So I think before I even start, I would like to give 3 messages to the 2021 or 2022 batch, which they should take away. One is that, firstly, guys, like, you have come so far. It's been 3 years. You've been in campus. I would just say, don't be stressed. The final year, while it seems that okay, it's just the big moment of your life that you are going to get your placement that you had always thought of. Don't be stressed. In the long run, I have seen my batchmates. It's been 6 years since I graduated. Everyone lands at a great place. So, firstly, your first job will not be the end of the world. It will not decide that okay, this is it. So don't be stressed about, is what I would say. Second, I know you have like 250, 300 companies coming on campus, and I know it's very hard to choose. You have so many options. You have MS, MBA, you have different kinds of companies coming on campus, and you would not be sure at this point, but what is it that I really want to go for? I would say that uncertainty stays for some time in your early part of your career. So don't worry that you are uncertain. It's common and it's fine to have that at this stage. And lastly, I would say that see, as you go through this journey over the next 6 to 9 months, do remember that you are also evaluating companies as much as they are evaluating you. So it's about finding the right fit for you in the next 6 to 9 months. That where do you see what's your career aspiration and which company helps you get there over the next 5 years. So those 3 messages I would start off with first, and then now I would want to focus a bit more on the preparation side of uh, the part, the story. So basically, see, what is it that companies look for? Ideally, I think of it in five broad themes. One is what's your background? So basically, what have you done so far? Now that is something you can't really change right. That's your academics, your profile, your internships. I don't think in the next 3 months you can do anything significant that will change completely what you have done so far. But what you can still do is to translate into a very good CV. And as Bharat also said, this is something you should definitely spend a lot of time on. So a good CV is a very good door opener. It gets the conversation going. So I would definitely recommend you to spend at least 10 to 12 hours on across maybe 2-3 weeks to actually think about what you want to communicate in your CV, and always customize it when you are going for an interview, because there may be different dimensions different companies look for. Second is what your skills are, is what companies can look for. This is preparing for guesstimates, preparing for cases, preparing for written tests, your technical skills. I think this is something you would know a lot about already, given it's discussed a lot on campus. But I would still say that do take out some time, prepare for newer parts of the acumen checks that companies do, like guesstimates and case studies. Spend some time learning about it in groups, practice it with your friends. That's something you should definitely do. Third, I think, is communication, that companies look for communication a lot. This is through GDPI, this is through your PI interviews, how confident you are, how articulate you are, because in a real life setup, you have to communicate a lot. And I think if I remember my experience correctly, this is a part on which a lot of people with great technical skills get stuck. I had my friends who struggled to crack a lot of interviews. They had great backgrounds, great skills, but this is the one thing that they got stuck on. So it's very important that maybe if you can form a group of maybe 4 or 5 friends, do some GDPI preparation ahead of time, follow the news, because some of the topics will be from news. So if you are well read, you will be able to contribute in the discussion better. Number 4 is, I would say, recruiters look for your personality, as to what kind of situations you have handled, what's your, let's say, outside of just education, what do you like to do? Is it, do you like to volunteer for an NGO? You have led a society on campus, you like to dance. It's those sort of experiences that you have had which have shaped you as a person. So it's also very important that you spend time putting down, maybe there are a bunch of 10-15 HR answers, different types of questions interviewers can ask. So it's about having that one document where you have captured over the last 5 years, 7 years, what have been those experiences that have shaped you, and being able to talk about them in an interview definitely helps a lot, because you would be able to develop a connect and give the interviewer a flavor of who you are actually. And lastly, I would say, is companies look for your motivation to join them, because ultimately, see, they also know there are 250 recruiters on campus, and how do they prevent that you will not leave them in the next 6 to 9 months for another job? It's basically they're looking for, why do you want to join them? And the answer to this question basically comes from how much time do you spend on knowing about them? Can you call up an alumni to know why they joined the company in the last 2 years? Maybe 1 batch senior, 2 batch senior. Can you talk to them, understand how their experience has been, what the role is about, what kind of opportunities they see now for themselves, and really bake it into your story as to why you want to join that company. I think that's very important part. And it's also very important for you to be clear why you want to join them, because right now you have so many opportunities, and while this decision does not have really major implications in the long run, but it does help to open doors for the next 2-3 years of your career. So definitely be evaluate why you want to join a particular company before you even go to the interview. And coming to the question, Sanjay sir, which you asked around how to really select about how to choose a company. I think during my times, I struggled with this question as well for the better part of first 3-4 months. And I actually also decided to sit out of placements for quite a while until I had this figure, which I wouldn't advise the group to do. But I would say the way I figured it out, at least for myself, is one, I did my research, what roles come on campus, what types of opportunities are available to me. I thought about them, what kind of a career each of those present. So a technical role versus an analytics role versus a consulting role versus a startup versus a coding job versus a bank. I evaluated, tried to learn about them a lot more. I spoke to many alums who had joined these companies. I spent a lot of time on LinkedIn, on Glassdoor, trying to figure out how careers shape for different alumni who joined these places. And then I also evaluated whether I want to do civil services or I want to do MS. So having clarity on those questions, I think the final year I really spent a lot of time on that, and that is something I would also recommend. And that's sort of how you gain clarity on eventually where you want to go and which company will help you get there over the short term.
Thank you, Satyam. I think great insights for these students. I'm sure some of them will pick up and also look for you on LinkedIn and come back to you and ask you what's McKinsey is going to offer to a DTU aspirant this year. So, because we had lost you in between, maybe could you just add in having, I think we've listened to everybody from a technology recruitment perspective. What are the three or four things that you look for when you go for a campus selection?
If I go, as I said, let me give you an example here. I hope I'm audible.
Yes.
Yeah, funny thing happened. My maid, while doing testing, she switched off the router, and by the time I realized that and switched over to the alternate router, it took some time. That's life.
Yes.
So,
No
what I give you a perspective. As I said, we are hiring like 1,000 people in cybersecurity, especially in Microsoft. We know we won't get them. When we go to the market, we find people who have Microsoft security skills. Very good. Pick them up. Even pay them a little bit of incentive. Then again, we can't find 1,000 people. Then what do we do? Okay, let's go for other security skills who are not Microsoft. We will train them. So we have that lot. Again, we ran out of supply. What do we do next? We said, okay, hire common IT infrastructure experience and we will train them. We again ran out of supply. What do we do then? Now the situation has come where we are even hiring BCom graduates, BA graduates, putting them in the 3 to 6 months training plan, making them a cybersecurity certified expert, and that's how we are ramping up. It's not easy. Every company is hiring, and sometimes all the patterns and the studies that we see initially. I remember very well. I was moderating one of the panel discussion, and there was an expert. It was I think April last year when the pandemic had just hit, and it was like ramping up everywhere. He did some predictions. He said automobile industry will get a hit, share will drop of automobile industry. Second, travel will have the biggest hit. Companies will lay off people. All these predictions were done. Now, fast forward to 1 year later, automobile, small cars had lot many multiple times sales because people, they don't want to travel in public transport. Travel industry. Did you even hear of pandemic fatigue or revenge travel? These terms were very new. I had not heard of them. But now, after the pandemic, all the hill stations are outsold. Automobile industry and laid off lot many people. But now every company is hiring, and there is something which is called talent gap, which is existing. In addition to that, there is a talent war, which is going on in the industry because everyone wants to poach the people. So sometimes whatever you come across, like a study, this is going to be the future. It is not exactly like that. So it's good to understand that. Do not bet upon that. Things might change. So what I'm trying to say is take it easy kind of attitude always helps. So when I go for technical hiring, I know whatever person, unless it's a lateral hire. See, there are two types of hiring in a company. One is a lateral hire, one is a fresher hire. Now expectations are different for both the groups. If I'm hiring someone with 6, 10, 15, 20 years of experience, my expectation is different. I expect that this person, because I'm paying them quite a lot, this person would be productive from day one. But this is not the expectation from a fresher, a graduate, or with 1 or 2 years of experience. The expectation is entirely different. There, I focus more on the aptitude, the basic skills, as we say. While the panel was speaking, I actually prepared a list that if I'm going to hire someone, then what are the traits that I look into people? One, I want people who are honest. Someone was saying, what do you write in your CV? Like cricket example. You should be honest, but not brutal. Sometimes it's a fine line between them. You try to be honest, but then you say something like in one of the chat windows, someone was writing, can I say that this happened? You should not just say that I flunked in that exam because my professor was an idiot. No, you have to be honest, but not brutal. So that's where your communication skills also come in. Now, second, study about the company. Now, you are blessed to be in information age. At our time, we don't even have Google. Now, apart from Google, you have Glassdoor, you have Fishball, you have Quora. Read the comments there. You have your friend circle. Ask them, what about the company? What are they looking for? How's the growth pattern there? And display the soft skill in the organization whenever you are going the interview. Soft skill which are very much on top of the chart is one is agility. Now people get confused agility with flexibility. Agility is how quickly you respond to the change. Something has happened. There are people who will sit and keep cribbing about that, why this happened, why. So there are some people who immediately respond to the change. Okay, let me do that. Now in my 22 years of experience, I started as a hardware engineer. Then I become network engineer. Then I moved to project management, then moved to portfolios, then capability head, project management, transition, application, learning and development. And now I'm in cybersecurity. So I have seen whole gamut of things, how things work, only because I showed flexibility. There was a change and I quickly adapted to that change. Now, this week's study is that I have to now build business in UAE. And that's a new thing which has come up. Okay, I will do that. So show flexibility, show agility, quickly respond to the change. That's something which we look for people. Now, show your positive attitude, show empathy, respect for individual. Those are the things which we look for in people. Learnability question. Now, if you walk into the interview and if you say that, okay, I'm interested in this technology, all right, what did you do for that? I did certification, I did these courses on top of my BTech. Very good. That shows you are passionate about that. So those are the things which you should demonstrate, which I call as a bonus skills on top of what is there. Prepare your 30-second pitch. Imagine you just moved into an elevator, you're in a CEO of a company, the CEO will get down at second floor. You get 30 seconds just to explain yourself. In those 30 seconds, how would you sell yourself? And remember, he is not interested in your accomplishment or what great achievements, how many numbers you scored, what gold medal you got in your university. He is more interested to hear what's in it for him. So when a company comes for interview, they see in you that how can you contribute and add value to the company? What are the skills that you bring in? We are not interested in if you're a gold medal. Well, yes, it adds value if you're a gold medalist. That shows that you are a hard worker, that you are into the thing. But again, I'm looking more for an application. And have your one-page CV ready. And that should also highlight on the top that what is the edge, the bonus thing that you bring in. And also be ready with one or two questions that you want to ask the panelist. So if I ask you, okay, is there any question for me? No, that's fine. That's not the answer I expect. You should be ready with one or two questions that is very inquisitive, that you would like to learn about the company. So these are some of the things which you should prepare for. Now, at the same time, there are also some of the things which you should not do. For example, as I said, you should understand the pattern. There are a lot of studies around, but do not bet upon them. Also, do not spend money in making your CVs. I came across every now and then, there are so many con companies which will say, you give me this number of, give me 500,000 rupees, I'll make you one page of CV. We are not looking for those fancy CVs. There are a lot of templates freely available. Just pick one and that should suffice. Don't fall into trap of the companies who say you come and get a course from us for 1 month or 2 months and we'll get you a best job in the company. Don't fall into trap on those companies. Do not feel stressed at all. Some people, if they are not selected, they think, oh my God, this is an end. But let me tell you guys, this is just the start of your career, of your life. So don't feel demotivated. If you are not selected, probably there is something better for you. One of the interviews, I still remember, the guy walks into the room and I realized that his father was a surgeon. His mother was a gynecologist. They used to stay in GK. Now this dude was coming in a chauffeur-driven Audi in the college. Now everything is fine. Would I select him? I asked him, what are your interest area? Oh, my interest area is automobile, and then he started talking about the thrust and the torque and the power of the cars and other stuff. Okay, I didn't select him Because had I selected him, giving him few lakh of rupees as a CTC when he is already so well established, affluent family, probably he would have got bored. And end of the day, both company and the person won't be happy. But at least I appreciate that he was true and honest, because I'm pretty sure that he might be doing something better other than doing a 3-4 lakhs job in the company to start with. That won't even cover his fuel charges. So be honest, not brutal, but at the same time, if you are not selected, there is something better for you. Maybe you are on your entrepreneurship journey. Maybe there is something else which resonates more with your passion. It is just a start. So as I always say, so prepare for the interview as if your life depends on that, but present as if there is nothing to lose even if you fail. This time the connection was fine.
Yes, it was fine. Thank you so much, Vikas. And I think we have had some great insights from each of you. And proof of the pudding is obviously the students. So let me invite actually Rajesh Rohela, Professor. If you can, you would have some questions as the person who gets the best of the companies, and you are the kind of the, what do you say, Sutradhar for the best offers for the best students. So let's hear from you if what questions you have for the panel or specific panelists, so that the
Yes.
children benefit more.
So first of all, I would like to thank all the panelists. They have shared their insight and the kind of points that they have mentioned that is really relevant. And if somebody really notices all those points, one is bound to succeed in the interviews. So I have few questions in mind, because one question that every candidate is normally confused how to introduce himself. So introduction is one part, and second part is if the interviewer asks about some sort of weakness, how to respond to these questions. I would like the answer to these questions from two perspectives. One is if one is appearing for the tech roles, and second case if the company is related to the consulting or analytic kind of role. In that case, whether the response will be same or need to be adjusted according to the kind of company that they are appearing for.
Yes, who would like to take this? Because I think it's about which company doesn't matter, which sector doesn't matter, because everybody has some limitation, some gap area, how to really come up on it. And I think in the chat box also this question came up, if I am done only one internship or if I have a gap area. So whatever it be. So Sanjay, I see you're unmuted. Sanjay Modi and Bharat. So yes, let's go to Sanjay and then.
Sanjay, what I would like to say here is that the word weakness is kind of outdated. I think it is because we are talking of humans and it is human capital. Let's talk about areas of improvement. I think that is a better way to kind of position. And when you focus on areas of improvement, it brings in two trajectories. One, the honesty part, which has been the pillar of most of the panelists said, you need to be honest, telling about whatever. So that means the guy honestly has done the introspection, has found the gap. The second part is willingness to fulfill that gap, because the moment you say area of improvement, it gives you a journey and action plan to fulfill that. The moment you say weakness, it is like a wall in front of you. That means you need to navigate. So I think that is the right way to look at it. And right through my career, to all my employees, etc., this has been my way forward. That yes, and it's good that if somebody comes and says I have no areas of improvement, obviously that is not the person that I will ever hire. Maybe that Audi kind of a guy which Vikas was mentioning. So that is my 2 cents for handling this, because then areas of improvement becomes your strength in an interview, and the interviewer will like that.
Very nicely said. Bharat, what are your views?
See, I would say, Sanjay, I don't know how much of it is relevant, but I have personally not seen weakness or as rightly mentioned by Sanjay, areas of improvement very apt in the interview context, right? So, I mean, in my time, we used to say things like, I can't say no, or, I'm too much of a workaholic, things which do not appear as weakness, and, trying to project them as more of strength. But I don't see much of a relevance. So just take feedback from seniors who know you a little bit and try to turn it into an area for development. Don't stress about this as much. I think the other important Sanjay question was on what how to introduce yourself, right? So in that
Right.
context, I would suggest we should prepare two versions of introductions. They should be very well rehearsed. And what I did was actually I wrote it down and I rehearsed it multiple times. One version is the short version, and one version is slightly longish version. Short version would not be more than 30 to 45 seconds. Longish would be 2 minutes. How do you differentiate which one to speak? Do you have to take cues from the interviewer? If he says, okay, tell me quickly about yourself, or tell me something which is not already in their resume, right? So that's when you go to the 30 to 45 second. You skip the obvious information like I did my BE from DTU, I did my schooling from this. You skip the obvious information, and as Vikas was pointing out, if you had to say 5 things or a 30-second elevator pitch, what would you say in that? Okay, so I am interested in all things robotics, and I did this course, I did that course, I developed this, and which helped me, or which helped this deliver this much impact. So things like these you should point out in a 30-second or a 45-second. And then there is a longish version, which is like a 2.5 minute version, where you start by talking about, where you come from, your background, um, what are the key achievements, why did you pick mechanical or electrical or electronics engineering, what have been the key facets of your career or your professional as well as personal life so far. So that's how I would like to approach it. And most of the times, interviews will say if they are, looking for a detail or a short.
Yes, Colonel. Thanks, Bharat.
See, this is the two questions are very, very important. And Mr. Bharat Garg has explained about the introduction part. See, you should prepare it well in advance. Because in many of the interviews, the first question could be introduce yourself. And if you falter in that in introducing yourself, and because many questions can start from your introduction itself. So introduction should be prepared well in advance. Second is about weakness, and which Mr. Sanjay Modi says it is area of improvement. See, still people ask in interviews, please tell your strengths and weaknesses. So we should prepare for this answer. What could be the weakness? And then how this weakness can be improved, or how can you make your weakness as a strength? So you choose your weakness properly to tell in the interview, and how that weakness is going to help you, how that you can convert that weakness into the opportunity. That must be rehearsed well. Thank you.
Yes, you rightly said that first question in most of the interviews will be introduce yourself. And if you're smart, you are well articulated, your introduction, the success starts from there. It's opening up, giving the right cues for them to ask you the next question, and strategically you build up yourself for success. Ramesh, you want to add in a few words?
Yeah, actually, I also thought the same way in the sense, like what Mr. Kanel Singh said, that both these questions are great opportunities for the individual. If the person is well prepared, like what Satyam mentioned, if you're very clear on your introduction, you can actually be on the steering wheel and you can drive the interview the way you want it to be. Because you can actually tell them all that you want to discuss in the interview, in the introduction itself. And you can build on your strengths and the improvement areas also to steer the interview to where you want it to be. Because it is like, if I love driving and if I love to drive from Delhi to Chandigarh, then I say I want to go to Chandigarh. So automatically the entire interview is Delhi to Chandigarh and I'm in the driver's seat. So it's a great opportunity, but as I think quite a few panelists mentioned, it is our ability to prepare ourselves. And I think Satyam put it well in the sense that most interview questions are repetitive. So if a person prepares himself for the questions, then and be natural and be honest, then it automatically flows the way you want it to be. But if you try to put on something, or if you try to, if you try to prepare an answer which is not you yourself, then you will get cut in the interview.
Thank you. Thank you. I think we have had a great panel discussion, and looking at the clock, I don't want to miss the opportunity for these students to ask their questions. Region, can I invite you to share some of the questions? I know we are running against time, but we would love to answer as many questions now. So, Srijan, you're there.
So I have one more question, which is probably relevant for the students,
Yes,
and
yes,
many
sir.
students may like
Please.
to ask. So another question I want to know, okay, to be answered is, since in the pandemic scenario, the scenario is actually changing. So is there any impact on the hiring stages of the hiring managers, and how the students can prepare or modify their strategies according to the changing scenario?
Yes, who would like to take it up?
Because most of the interviews are happening in the online mode.
So, Vikas,
So
you have been
is,
going to campuses. Let's hear from you.
Yeah, so I also wanted to add just 2 cents to the previous question. That's important, but I'll come back to it. But on this one, how pandemic has changed the campus hiring. So I don't see very significant change in terms of we are doing hiring. The strategy that has changed now is because we are hiring at mass. So in addition to the colleges that we were going earlier, we are also going to Class B colleges and also in Class B cities, because now location doesn't matter. I might as well go to Palwal, for example, and do a hiring and pick people from there. Earlier, it was a little bit hesitant in doing that for 2 reasons. One, location doesn't matter. Second, I want to hire in masses, and I can't get masses in all the Class A esteemed universities and in the cities. So that's one strategic change that has happened. As I said earlier, I'm also hiring BCom, BA graduates and putting them into the technology domain, obviously, if they are willing to do that. So those are the things which have changed. Now, interview, when it happens virtually on the platform and when it happens physically, there is very much difference. And I think you should pay attention to what are some of the things that you do when you are on virtual on camera, because people can't see your body language exactly. They would see as you walk into the room. Your communication, like the connection problem that I had, those are some of the things that you have to really prepare well for. Attention time is very less on video, because when you're in the room sitting one-on-one in front with the panelist, it's a different thing because he's paying attention to you. Now, when you're on the video, he might be drinking as well a coffee. He or she is also working from home. Might be a problem there is a doorbell. So there is distraction all over. In between that distraction, how you are going to get that fishing attempt or get that attention, that's the key. And that really you have to prepare well for in terms of the virtual interview. So those are the things which have changed post-pandemic. Now, very quickly onto the previous one, Sanjay. When we talk about area of improvements, what I look for when I hire someone, it's good to have area of improvement. If no one has an area of improvement, then he's like a Rajinikanth in the movie, so I can't hire that person. There are area of improvements. And if you say that, first of all, think that what really are the area of improvement. And very important, everyone has an area of improvement. Very important is what you are doing to overcome that. So whenever someone asks you a question that what are your area of improvement or weakness, tell that, but also say that this is what I have identified in myself in the last 20 years or whatever. And this is what I'm doing to overcome that. And this is how I've been successful so far. Give 1 or 2 examples. I think that kind of closes the loop.
Thanks, Vikas.
Yeah, Sanjay,
Yes, Sanjay,
just to add on that, there is
Yep.
a perspective that Vikas gave on the online hiring part, which was Rajesh's question. Let me give a different perspective. I think this pandemic and this online hiring has, in a way, moved little bit of human biases that used to creep in. And let me put a perspective of how Glow Scout is using technology. So there are assessments. There is data science and artificial intelligence, which is modulating voice and facial recognition compared to others as well. And there is a median that is kind of coming in. So yes, the challenges which are there is very much there, but let's look at the other side, because this is going to be reality, not only post-pandemic, but times to come. As an organization in Monster, as well as otherwise, we were always proposing this to corporates, but they were always wary. They always like picking up the bag, going to the campuses, and our objective was why you are doing it. when technology can be used. And in the same way, which Vikas mentioned, that now you can go to tier B towns, there are tier 1 colleges, tier 2, 3 colleges, because we always believe there is a good student and there are no good colleges. So there could be an excellent student in a tier 3 because of various circumstances why that person should not get an opportunity, So from that perspective, the onus on the student appearing for an online interviewing and recruitment process goes that much more on the preparation part, right? And secondly, within the organization, the application and the selection process will move very fast. So the waiting time will kind of come down. You will get the results much more. A lot of volume can be sifted through quickly by an organization to pinpoint the talent, and now organizations are competing in terms of what technology to use to get quickly as compared to my other competitor. So let's be clear on that. And hence, all the things that most of the panelists, including me, spoke about. One caution is don't become mechanical, because I think if I put the laundry list of do's that we have told, it might be running into 100. So one do which you keep on top of it is keep your presence of mind. Because what happens is when you start preparing sequentially, this question, this answer, etc., imagine the interview on that side is going to put you a question which will not fit into your stuff, and you are moving sequentially, losing your presence of mind, you will lose that opportunity straight on. So have that presence of mind, relax, though you have done the preparation, but adapt, customize, etc. Voice modulation is important. Do that, because a lot of people will be hearing, not physically present, but just hearing what you said and taking a call basis your speech. So yes, technology comes, as we always say, in mixed bag.
Thank you. Yes, I think organizations also look to build Rajnikants and Usain Bolts rather than hire them, because then you can't take them to the next level. But Professor Rajesh, any other questions from your side? Or we can...
If you permit a quick question, which can
Sure,
be answered. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So you talked about a lot of opportunities related to cyber security. So can you suggest the certifications which can actually help the students in grabbing the cyber security related roles, both at the starting level and at the middle level also?
There are plenty. So I take care of Microsoft. So it is AZ. There are some basics ones which are 900 series, as we call, be it AZ 900 or SC 900 or M365. I think it's MS 900. And then there are expert level, which are 500 series. So AZ 500, SC 500. These are all. But I don't suggest that you go for, unless you want to. Yes, you can. Fundamentals are fine. That is one. Second, there are a lot of courses on the platforms like Coursera, like Pluralsight, like Udemy, and they give you certificates from the universities also. I have myself done like more than 4 dozen certificates now from Harvard University, from Manchester, about the world. You name it, and it's there on Coursera. So pick a cybersecurity course. There are 3-4 stages there. They write the exam, and then you get that. There are peer assessments as well. And then there are some, during the pandemic time, there are many institutes who have offered you free certification. So look for that in Google, and you don't have to pay anything. You just study the material and write the exam. So, and they keep coming with this. So you just have to keep your ears and eyes open and do that search. And there are a lot of platforms, as I said, Quora, Fishball, Glassdoor. These are the new ones which give you all those insights, and you can get those. Otherwise, feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn, and I can guide you. I'm very much enthusiastic on the academic side. I'm associated with a lot of universities and colleges on their panel, and it is something which I just love doing. Probably this is my post-retirement plan as well. So feel free to reach out to me. I feel very happy suggesting whatever I can contribute.
Wonderful.
Thank you so much.
Yeah,
that's also my side, sir.
Yeah, Sanjay, you were saying something? Sanjay Modi?
No. One point that just came to my mind was we were talking about the right CV preparation. One suggestion would be use infographics. I think it is better. It is easy for the guy who is looking at it, rather than, because people are not looking at text, because even online you see from content is moving video consumption much more. So infographics help. Second is when you are telling about yourself, please be clear that organization would have done some amount of social profiling of yourself, of the candidate. Because going through your Facebook, going through other pages, etc. So hence honesty plays a big role. So just try and see what is there. Don't expect that organization will not do any homework before printing the offer letter.
Yeah, absolutely. And you rightly said honesty and integrity go very high in terms of recruiting and the trustworthiness as to how long you will work. So you need to be sensitive to that and prepare yourself as students to display your own character and develop your attitude in such a manner that you're positive all the time, ignoring the negatives. So Rajesh Rohil, over back to you for any more quick questions.
I think now you can take the questions from other students.
Yeah. Srijan, over to you. We eagerly, all of us are waiting to hear from you. Yes, Srijan, welcome.
Sir. Good evening, everyone.
Just to introduce, Srijan is the placement coordinator for this batch, one of them, and he has taken the pains to consolidate all questions. So thank you, Srijan, so much. And over to you. You can ask your questions either to a specific panelist or to all of them, as you feel comfortable.
So,
as the question is.
Good evening, everyone. And the first question that popped up in our form was, will revealing a plan for higher studies in near future leave a bad impression on recruiter, because they might think that we could probably leave their company within a short span of time after they hire us?
So who would like to make us? You're taking
Well,
it?
I think it depends. So long-term plan and short-term, sometimes it's more like a stress test. When I was going through my campus hiring, I was also doing BCA in addition to my BTech. And the interviewer asked me that you are doing BCA, then what will you do? I said, I'll do my MCA. And he said that I'm hiring you as a hardware engineer and you are doing your course as a software engineer. And we would have spent so much money on you and you will bloody move on to some other company doing the software. So why should we hire you? Sometimes it is a stress interview, stress as well. I don't think that it's be honest, tell them that, yes, this is what you want to do. It's not that you are doing it right after 3 or 6 months. You will also take some time. And I would hire them personally, because once you are into the system, once you start getting every 30th, you start getting money into your account, probably your plans will change. That's how I see it. And that happens also. But yes, if you have plans, just say that. And I will also say that if you think after doing your BTech, you are actually going for MBA, better not apply for the job then. You should be very much focused in your life. What do you actually want to do? If you want to do MBA, then better go for it rather than going for the job. If you want a job, then yes, come here and say, yes, I will do you can study anytime. I'm till date, I'm studying astrology nowadays. I did my LLB also. I did my MC also. All of this I did while I was in job. So if you're going for a job, go for it and then go for higher studies. If you really want to study for higher one, then better don't go for a job. That's how I would say. But if you say, I aspire to do higher studies, there's no harm in doing that. Everyone does that. So that's how I see it.
Yeah. So Srijan, I would like to put it this way, that in an interview, we don't have to tell everything to the organization, right? So if you have a desire to go for a higher program, because it can work both ways, and I can give you my personal example. There are some candidates that I kind of rejected just because it was falling into within 1 year or 2 years of joining. And from an organization perspective, we would be putting a lot of investment in bringing that candidate up to speed. On the contrary, as a candidate, if I want to pursue higher studies linked to the current job or outside, what I can dwell upon is what are their L&D programs? Do they sponsor employees for higher programs if they find them good, etc. So that in my mind, I can marry my career aspiration and goals to the organization one. But at this stage, when I'm looking for my first job, why I have to tell them? Because I have to get the job first, So that can, at this stage, can prove little riskier because in a campus, people are hiring in volume. So one candidate goes down, other replaces it. Let's not play that game. That would be my suggestion. But yes, Vikas also has a point. So there are merits. I would suggest leave it to the student to find out what works best for them.
Thank you so much, sir. So moving on to the next question. If the interviewer comes up with a practical question that is related to a field that I'm already familiar with, so would it leave a bad impression if the student uses some personal instances and some real life examples rather than just following the theoretical part that is given in the textbook?
Sorry, I didn't hear the first part.
Can you just repeat it,
Sir,
Sejal?
yes, sir. So the question is, if the interviewer comes up with a practical question, then that the student is that is related to a field that the student is already familiar with. So will it leave a bad impression on the interviewer if the student comes up with some personal instances and some real life examples rather than just following what is given in the textbook?
Oh, I think that adds
I would
value.
say that it is actually it is an advantage if student is familiar with it. Because like I said earlier, that in a behavioral event interview, we expect students to talk about what they have done more than what they have learned. Because learning is one part of the knowledge. Learning is knowledge. Application is what organizations look for. So if you have done something, for example, if somebody talked about robotics and you are very interested, passionate about robotics, and you have actually played with creating robots and things like that, or you have created some robots which are being applied in the college or in your community or whatever, then you talk about it because that's the best way to demonstrate your knowledge and application of robotics. So I would say it's a great idea if the student has practical knowledge and should not hesitate to talk a lot about it till the interviewer is quite satisfied that this guy is quite passionate about it.
Yes,
Thank you,
Satyam.
sir.
Satyam, you're saying something?
No, I think I just want to add that in case you have doubts in your mind that maybe it's a topic which is not your core, you don't really know about it, but you have some exposure. So then it's also okay to call out that, yes, I know this much about it, but I don't know fully about it. So you can even caveat it so that you don't get put into a spot where they try to test your expertise in that space.
So thank you, sir. And moving on to the next question. The question is how to convey a positive personality and be proactive by not sounding overconfident.
Ramesh,
That's a
you'll take
very
it?
Yeah, this is the way actually, this has to come naturally. This cannot be taught or trained. Maybe practice will help. But your ability to, like I think Professor Yogesh, the Vice Chancellor, very nicely put it. In life, in everything we do, we have only two options. One is I can, and the second is I cannot. So if you choose the I can option, then everything in the world is possible. Like the pandemic is a great opportunity for industries to flourish in digitalization, for example. The pandemic was a great opportunity for many automobile companies to gradually quickly move towards electric. So there are many opportunities which industries got in the pandemic. The other hand, somebody might put his head hands on the head and say, "Oh, this pandemic has killed my industry." That's the way of looking at it. So similarly, as individuals also, we have a tendency that when we face a crisis, we immediately sulk and we blame the environment, we blame the nature, we blame everybody else, and we don't blame ourselves. So a positive person will always find an opportunity in every challenge. So if you're able to do that, and if you're able to demonstrate it with a lot of examples, both from your personal and your college life, I think it'll be great. So your ability to show that how you're able to convert a crisis into an opportunity shows your attitude to life.
Thanks. Yes, Colonel.
See, the overconfidence is reflected by the way you answer. And the way you answer means you tend to answer everything, whether you know or not. That reflects. Otherwise, if you are answering what you know, it is not be termed as overconfidence. He says the question and you start answering whatever you want to answer without even knowing whether that is truth or not. So basic question is, don't bluff the interviewer. They have better knowledge, always remember. They know the things all around. If they are asking some questions, they are aware of it. If you do not know the answer, please say, I am not aware of it. if you have some doubts about what you know, then you say that I have doubts. If you still want, I'll try, but I'm not sure about this answer. But if you do not know, please don't respond to it, because not only it will take your time of the interview, which generally maybe 25-30 minutes, depending upon what type of interview it is, but it will reflect to them this person doesn't know anything. So that is the way where overconfidence is reflected when you are trying to bluff the interview. Thank you.
Yes, Srijan.
Thank you so much, sir. Sir, so the next question is, what should one's approach be when the interview starts turning into a stress interview? When the interviewer starts interjecting the interviewee?
So you're saying during the questions, and I am answering as a student, before I complete the interviewer asks me the next question. Right. So you're
Yes,
saying
sir.
it becomes a stress kind of a situation.
Yes,
So can I, Sanjay, take this
Sure.
on? Please note that when an interview is being conducted, they don't want to put you under stress just because they want to make you feel bad. There are certain jobs, certain roles which require you to operate under stressful situations. So when they are putting you under stress, at the back of your mind, you should be clear that they are evaluating you, your response, and the way you are handling that while you are being put under stress, rather than looking at the accuracy of the response being given, right? So this was the interviewing technique we used to deploy on certain roles, which were timelines driven, which had a lot of variability into it, which people had to grapple and execute it. Hence, we always used to pick up ones who would be able to handle the stress and how they respond towards it. So it is not to be construed other way, but just to be taken, yes, if that is happening, they just, so that will ease them actually. At the back of their mind, they will start to flow along with that questioning process and will come out as a winner. So I don't think so anyone in the interviewing process wants to make somebody feel small or big. It would be the demand of the organization, culture, or the job profile.
Yeah, and I think just to add what Sanjay Modi said, in the interviews, the student they should remain with an open mindset, not a closed or a fixed mindset that you're ready to accept what the other person, the interviewer, is asking, accept it and move forward rather than analyzing at that point of time, why is he asking me this? I think the best is to just flow with the interviewer, keep your mind open and feel that this person is going to help me, which is again about the positive attitude. It's the interviewer always wants to help you to do better and then judge out who is the best out amongst you. He is not wanting to kill somebody down or shoot somebody down and then say, okay, these five survived. No, it is amongst the best amongst the very good people that the interviewer is looking at. So the students should look at open mindset and not have a closed or a fixed mindset that, oh, bhai, ye to mere ko, he is not going to help me. I'm not gelling with him. There's nothing like that. If for interviewer, everybody is equal and you should just look to grab your opportunity to do well.
Yeah, I think what works in this case is smile and just accept the situation. So if you are being fired with question one after another, just smile, take a pause, and say, "Sir, this is the first time I'm facing this kind of interview where one after another the questions are being asked, so I'm feeling very nervous. So sorry about that, but let me respond." That gives you time. That eases the environment. It's a neuroscience behind. When you accept something and speak that out, it automatically reduces the stress level. So that's how you should handle it.
Yes, Colonel.
On a lighter note, if I may say that many of us might be following cricket. I mean, two cricketers who give us a good answer to this question is one is MS Dhoni, the way he reacts to any crisis situation. And he's his cool self and he does what he thinks is best for the team without making, and rather the opposition is nervous about how he's going to react because he's so cool. The second I recently saw an interview of Virendra Sehwag, who beautifully said when he's about to hit a century, he's in his 90s, and there are, say, he's 95 or something. He generally hits a six. So the interviewer asked him, why do you hit a 6? Why can't you just play one ball at a time and say, he says the chances of my getting out in one ball is only 50%. Whereas if I have to face 5 balls, the chances are much higher. So I prefer to hit the 6. So that is the attitude you need to have in a stressful situation. I mean, if you are able to, if you think that you are going to be a winner, then be cool, don't get overstressed. And as Sanjay said, I think the interviewer is looking at how you react, not the answer to the question or not the answer to the challenge. So you be cool. And I mean, Viren Sir was smiling. He used to sing Hindi film songs, it seems, when he is in the 90s. So that he is not stressed and he is on his own self. So maybe that's the way we have to react.
Yes, Colonel Singh.
See, the interviewer pass on the questions and he asks the second question only in a few circumstances. See, one is maybe your answer is too no. And he understood that you are aware of it, this, you have replied correctly, and he doesn't want to give you more time. So he asks next question. The second situation could be you're bluffing. You do not know the answer and you are giving the answer, then he switch over to other. So first thing is whatever you speak in the interview, you don't try to bluff them. If you know, you reply. If you do not know, you don't reply. And if you feel you are replying correctly and he asks the second question, that means he has understood, he is satisfied, and you be cool about it and go on to the second question which he has answered. So take it in the stride. Don't worry about if we ask second question when you are still replying. Thank you.
Yes, Srijan.
Thank you, sir. And the next question is how to strike the right balance between showcasing technical and soft skills during an interview.
Okay. So you're saying soft skills and technical, and obviously when you say this, you're looking for a technical job interview, right?
Right, sir.
So how do you balance between the two? Maybe Vikas, you could tell us.
See, soft skills you don't have to demonstrate by thinking that you have to demonstrate. This is something which will naturally come through your body language, through your gestures, through your eye contact, through your smile, through your communication, the way you are putting and articulating things. Soft skills automatically, other person will see that. You don't have to put a stress on it that you have to demonstrate your soft skills. Technical skills, as I always say, whatever you have done, the application of that adds value. That's the bonus. The over the edge that you have done something or you have achieved something, as I shared some example, which makes you better than the peers, do call that out, and you can do that in your 30-second introduction as well. Hey, by the way, this is also, in 30-second interview, normally when you ask me that introduce yourself, typically people start, I am such and such, I did this and this, and I did it. The way I would introduce, hey, if you're looking for someone who carries 20 plus years of experience, who have done these things, carry these certifications, and who is also, by the way, gold medalist in mathematics and a CIO next 100 Win award, then please give me a chance to have a discussion. Simple. So you have covered everything in 15 seconds, and you have mentioned about your highlights also. So technical skills, yes, highlight, call them out. Soft skills, people will automatically judge you.
Srijan, I think looking at the clock, we will have to wrap it up shortly. So maybe you can ask one last question, which is of most critical importance, and otherwise we will always be there as alumni, as a team to help you people out. And I think somebody is asking, Gaurav Kumar is asking whether the session is being recorded. Yes. And we will work with the university to make it available. You can be in touch with the training and placement head, Professor Rajesh Rohila, for facilitating that. Yes, Region.
Yes, sir. So the next question is there a way to lead the conversation to a particular domain of our knowledge during an interview?
I can, yeah.
See, this is very important question. And if you are intelligent, you can lead either to your disaster in the interview or to your benefit. So it depends upon while you are replying, which are the terminology you are using, which are the words you are using, which are the words you are dropping. Suppose while replying something and you talk about cybersecurity and you are not aware of anything about cybersecurity. The interviewer start asking about you from cybersecurity. So you are leading him to the area which is your weakness. You can also drop words which are your strengths. and then you can lead interview to the areas of your strength. So some students are very good in that, and some people I have found during interviews, they will lead you to their weaknesses. So you must be careful what terminology you are using, what words you are dropping during the interview, because the interview next question may ask about the words which you have used, the jargons which you have used. Thank you.
Good. Thank you, Srijan. I think we've had great panel discussion. I just wanted to give everybody, the panelists, one last opportunity. We've had a very enriching discussions. We've answered many questions. Just a 30-second quick fire answers from you. I'll go go person to person. Something that may have been missed out, but will be of very important for the students to be aware of and keep in mind when going for their interviews in this season and landing with the best of the jobs, best of their offers or dream offers. So first, let me ask Satyam. Let me go the other way around now. Satyam, what do you think it is?
I think we've covered pretty much everything there is to know. But I would just add one more point on body language, which we didn't discuss as much. I think body language also matters a lot, and specifically given the interviews are going to be virtual. So your infrastructure, the quality of your speaker, your camera positioning, how do you communicate over a virtual setup, that will also matter. So can you have an eye contact with the camera directly so that the interviewer feels you closer, more warm? How do you smile? So just be sure to smile upfront on an online interview. Use your hands. Make sure the camera is set up such a way that probably the upper part of your body is clearly visible, and then you use your hands and sort of being more articulate as you do your interview. So your personality comes across even on Zoom.
Thanks. Bharat, what about you?
I would say for many candidates, interview gives a sense of nervousness. One thing which has helped me during my tenure is do mock interviews with someone slightly more experienced, and do it as if you are doing an actual interview. So that gives you a chance of not only simulating a real-time interview environment, but also gives you real-time feedback also. These are the things that worked in your favor. These are the things that you might want to work on, right? So there was a time in my career where I was getting rejected, and I did this mock interview with a couple of my seniors, and it actually came out as to what was the problem, right? So I would sincerely suggest you have all the network, LinkedIn, etc. Reach out to your seniors and do mock interview.
So yeah, great. So body language, mock interviews. Sanjay Modi, what do you have to say?
Let me say this, that life is a marathon. So enjoy your run, observe your surroundings, absorb as much as you can, because that will bring out the best in you. Don't rush for a 100-meter dash, because you miss out the beautiful things in life. That's it from my side.
Great thoughts. Vikas, what do you want to add to all these last 30 seconds?
So my message to all the students would be that whenever someone comes for, we are discussing about technical interview, they don't expect that you will be a technical expert and right this first day you will start delivering. Irrespective of whatever background you come, you will go through the training programs for a few months. We call it in our term getting accenturized or getting Capgeminized. That takes some time. So prepare well for your interview, but at the same time feel relaxed. It is just the start of the life, and life is full of opportunities. If this door doesn't open, there is a bigger opportunity, which is next door, which is waiting for you.
Great. Stay confident and look for the opportunity rather than close your mindset and say, he's expecting me to deliver. Yes, Ramesh, your nugget for 30 seconds, what it is as you are unmuted, sir.
Okay, I think most of it has been said, and I agree with all that has been said. I would only say prepare, persevere, and practice. And practice, and practice, because it is almost like a sports person who practices 24 hours a day to excel in whatever they do. And just to add to what Satyam said, I think there is research to say that 70% of this thing is non-verbal. And I want to just demonstrate it with a small example, and all of you all can try it also. Take your fingers, keep it this way, and do as I do. Okay? Keep it on your chin. So now, how many of you all kept it on your chin? Most of you all would have kept it on the cheek, because I kept it on the cheek, and that is non-verbal behavior. Most of us actually do what we listen to and not what we want to do. So that's the difference between verbal and non-verbal behavior. And 70% of our behavior is non-verbal. That's what I want to say.
Thank you. Wonderful. I think it's been a great learning. I hope for the students and all of us, we have enjoyed this discussion as a panel, looking at the questions that have come from the students, the college, and we are delighted, and we will stay in touch with you, all the students. Please do reach out to us through Professor Rajesh Rohila, and we will be happy to provide you with whatever support about getting ready for the interview. And some of the panelists have also volunteered, whether you want to stay connected for preparing for the interview, mentoring for a startup, whatever it be, as Colonel Singh sir said, that Sarthi is here to help you as a friend and guide for the students, especially who are our future alumni and part of we believe once you enter the college, you are part of our fraternity, our alumni association or alumni fellowship. So we are ready to help you anytime. Thank you. And so Arun, may I hand over to you to wrap up and do the honors of saying the right things to right people?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Good evening. Good evening to everybody. Good evening, my friends. So, dear distinguished and the eminent guest, and my dearest DTU students of final year, it's my great pleasure to propose a vote of thanks on this special occasion of webinar, and how our DTU, you final student, can convert interviews for the dream job during this campus placement. So already all we know that the placement of DTU best in India as per the recent ranking from NRF, we know. So I, on behalf of Sarthi and on behalf of DC DTU Organization, would like to extend a very hearty vote of thanks to all the eminent speakers for gracing and sharing with us your rich experiences and invaluable thoughts today. A big thank you to Ramesh Shankar sir, Executive Vice President, Head HR, Siemens South Asia, Siemens India Business, for sharing your thoughts on how to crack interviews and what does interview stands for. Thank you so much, sir. Also, I would like to express my gratitude to Shri Sanjay Modi sir uh, for your valuable insight on this topic. Thank you so much, sir. Further, I would like to extend my heartfelt thanks to Vikas Madan, Senior Director, Accenture, for sharing your experience and thoughts on how to face the interviews during the campus placement. Further, I am grateful to my friends from DC, Bharat Garg, and Satyam, my junior friend, for your views how a final year student can get a dream job during this campus placement. So I, on behalf of final year students, can say that we all are inspired by your great words, sir. I would also like to express sincere thanks to Honorable Vice Chancellor, DTU, respected Professor Yogesh Singh sir, and DTU Dean Alumni Affair, TNP Head Professor Rajesh Rohila, and Associate Dean for guiding and supporting us during the complete event. Finally, I would like to take this opportunity to hearty votes thanks to Binary Semantic Shri Akhil Chaudhary sir for the perfect logistics support on this occasion. They are the backbone of this event, and also to our Alumni Association. I also extend my thanks to DTU Placement Coordinator, especially to Srijan Kesri, for their enormous cooperation in the organization of this event. An event like this cannot happen overnight, so preparation planning started a few weeks ago and require a holistic overview to cover all the aspects. So we have been very fortunate enough to be backed by a team of very experienced, motivated, and the dedicated respected seniors. So thanks to our respected Shri Karnal Singh sir, other respected seniors, Shri Sanjay Diwan sir, Shri Akhil Chaudhary sir, Dr. Viptimal, Dr. Shri Arun Agarwal sir. Further to that, if you would like to connect DC-DTO organization for any support, guidance, and for the mentorship, so please reach out to us from TNP, and directly you can reach to me also. So once again, I want to state that we all are most grateful to all our speakers on this session, and we thank you, sir, being with us for this evening. So thank you so much, all the panelists. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good weekend and stay safe. Bye bye.
Enjoy. All the best, everybody.